Hi, I just want to say I love all of you, and even though I don't know most of you, I love all of you also. I think I'm too young to offer advice, so instead I'll share one of my philosophies. Here it is in a phrase: to give yourself up. The words speak for themselves. A criminal giving up the game, a burnout giving up the ghost, a young girl giving herself up to the emotion of the music, or a moth to electrified light. All these are hints at what I mean. I mean giving yourself up to uncertainty, acting, doing, despite not knowing exactly what will come of your decisions, or even what might have inspired them. As someone who thinks, the natural progression of the world for me is from unknown to known, alien to understood. As such, the question, what is the role of uncertainty, is one of the hardest to answer, particularly when discussing humans. We are remarkably individual. We are all separate, and we know it, which means, in a very real way, that we are all alone. We only hint at our emotions through language, facial expressions, all art. We can only really give clues for others to follow. Whether they follow is up to them. Whenever you reach out to another human, to really communicate, almost to soar straight between bodies and bypass reality, you have to pass through all that empty space first, all the uncertainty, all the things that make us separate, all the ways in which we are not connected. You can only offer yourself up in the uncertain hope that another will be of the mind to accept. Well, here's where my philosophy comes in, and it's a fable. I know it's not true, but be patient. In the beginning, there was just one human, one perfect human with a perfect mind and an angelic body. He was lonely because wherever he looked, he saw only himself, and he was boring to himself. He began to hate himself and hate his unchanging perfection. So one day, he shattered himself into 1,000 shards, and these shards grew into the humans we know today. And though the shards are separate and marred in ways unfathomable to the first human, they're not nearly as lonely. For they seek each other, seeking to return to their first state, and when they truly meet and recognize the same search in one another, shadows of that original perfection fill their souls. And so this is what I mean. We can be more unified because we are separate. The first being did not choose his perfection, his unity, but we can. We can choose to be apart, to remain separate, because we are so terribly cut off from one another. And this means we can also choose to be together. Unity takes on meaning only because of our knowledge of separateness. Choosing to communicate yourself to another is a bit like choosing to go to the moon. In either case, you have a long ways to go. You wait on the launch pad as oceans of gas froth behind you. You wait for the moment when you will no longer be able to turn back, when all could just vanish in one blinding flash without you even knowing. And then you glide helpless through space. But if you get there, to the moon, you can observe the entire Earth at once, uninterrupted and pure. Funny how at home you could feel, thousands of miles from Earth, or how I look most beautiful through the eyes of those I love. So we are all on launch pads. All we need to do is flip the safety glass and press the button. After all, there is an entire cosmos of uncertainty before us. We're pointed straight up into the sky. But I will always love the moon because it is so difficult to reach. I will always have a fond spot for it because it inspires in me a longing, which evokes an appreciation of just how beautiful it must really be up there. I'd like you to realize just how close you are to the person sitting beside you and remind you about the launch pad. Thank you.